So, it wasn't much fun?
Dreadful. Haven't been so bored since confirmation classes.
Simone de Beauvoir's perfectly all right in English, you know.
I suppose so. After all that, I could use a bit of stimulation.
I've had an exceptionally tiring day.
Right. Hardly know why I bother to take these anymore.
Oh, I thought you were all set up for London this weekend. I'm sorry, the flesh is willing, you know, but... Night.
All right, then. Just for your sake, I'm prepared to reconsider. If you can get George Carmody to apologise, I'll think about having him back in my class. How about that?
I'm very grateful.
How grateful?
Not that grateful.
And now, can we change the subject? I mean, if there's more to discuss, we can always come back to it later.
No, we can't.
Barbara has her weekend coming up in London, you know. So I'll be free.
Well, I won't.
Yeah. Would you mind? I can't.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks very much. Yeah.
Bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Flora.
Welcome. Oh, can I take this food?
I come in.
Don't really turn you on, do I?
I have to go and make Barbara off the train.
When can we do this again?
Not for a while. I'm off to Sydney in 10 days. I'm doing a tour of Much Ado, all over Australia.
Hey, that's great.
Then, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago and Washington.
How long for?
About 7 months. Wonderful part.
What's she playing?
Hero.
You might have told me.
I didn't want to spoil your weekend.
I'm gonna miss you.
And I'm going to miss you too.
I better get going. Otherwise, I'll miss my train.
I'll come with you to the
You
station.
don't have to bother. I can easily manage.
You sure?
Yes. What am I going to do without you?
There's plenty of others like me.
Yes.
Is it true you're a radical, Dr. Kirk?
Yeah? Why do you ask?
Well, there's a rumour going round they're trying to fire you because you're such a radical.
Well, they can't fire you for that. They can only fire you for gross moral turpitude.
What's that?
Well, one story has it, it's raping large numbers of nuns.
Well, if they try, we'll stand by you.
That's very kind. Now, if you'd like to start.
The social structure of imperialism. Any progress towards an adequate conceptual understanding of imperialism must begin by acknowledging the historical rise of mercantile capitalism from the 17th century onwards.
Yeah? Oh, Howard. Good of you to come so quickly.
Is this about comedy?
Yes. I had a rather distressing meeting first thing this morning with him and Miss Callender.
You went ahead and consulted my colleagues about his essays in spite of my protest. I formally object.
I gather you also informally objected by going around talking to them all, which may explain why the whole exercise was something of a flop.
Well, don't say I didn't warn you.
Anyway, I showed the essays to 6 examiners. 3 came up with fairly consistent results. High C's, low B's, roughly, if you remember, in accord with my judgment. Quite good enough to pass him. On the other hand, 2 gave him straight F's, like you. And the last refused to mark altogether, saying that you had told him that it would be interference with the teaching of a colleague. In all my experience as an examiner, I never had such a pattern of discrepancy.
But that's what I've been saying all along. There's no such thing as objective marking.
Yes, I don't happen to agree with that. Nevertheless, I felt compelled to tell Carmody that I could see no way of improving his position.
Well, that's that, isn't it?
Now, unfortunately, he then became hysterical and proceeded to make a series of further accusations.
What sort of accusations?
Sit down, Howard. I can't tell you how I detest all this. It's almost as if you wanted it to happen.
Accusations?
I've always thought of myself as a very busy man, Howard. I mean, my diary is pretty full. But if what Carmody says is true, I can't imagine how you found time to wash and shave this last week.
What does he say?
He claims to have a record, a fairly circumstantial record, of your promiscuous sexual activity.
Oh, you better give me the details.
By all means. It starts on Monday, when apparently you held a party. Late that evening, according to Carmody, you went downstairs to your basement room where an intimacy took place with another of your students, a Miss Fee, on the floor.
I think you'll find Miss Fee will deny that. It's typically a contemptible suggestion. Is that the best he can do?
Well, no, it isn't. For the rest of the week, he committed his observations to film. This is Tuesday, when you visited the flat of one of our mutual colleagues.
Hardly a case of gross moral turpitude.
Of course not, and as you can see, not entirely conclusive. But as the evening continued, I gather you returned home to Miss Fee.
Did you know that Mrs. Beamish was also there?
Yeah, well, indeed, and here she is, bang on cue. But I gather there was a significant time lapse between your arrival and Mrs. Beamish's.
Yeah. Largely occupied with a lengthy telephone conversation with you.
What a web it is. Wednesday, it seems, was a day of rest.
Regrouping my forces, no doubt.
Quite so. Now, this is Thursday, and nobody is suggesting that this encounter was anything but entirely innocent.
Well, I'd say the evidence was pretty flimsy.
It continues with a really remarkable piece of film shot through your kitchen window. But I think we've seen enough to get the general flavor, don't you? I gather Miss Fee has been getting very good marks on your course.
She's a good student.
Quite so. But Carmody claims, you see, from his researches, that your marking favors other students as much as it disfavors him.
Oh, that's obscene.
I wish you had listened to me. Always avoid bones of contention.
Look, I think when you've heard Miss Fee's version...
Oh, I shan't hear it, thank God. Oh, that's the Vice-Chancellor's problem now.
What, you sent him to the Vice-Chancellor?
I simply explained to him what his options were. This is one of those bleak moments when I'm actually pleased that I lead such an utterly boring and empty life.
How did you find out where I live?
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't supposed to be,
Why not?
because I don't want any old Christian existentialist or Leversite or sociologist dropping by on the off chance.
I only want to tell you a story.
A story?
It's very cold here.
Very well.
Well? How did you then?
You're not in the phone book,
I don't need a phone.
and you're not on the electoral register.
I'm not interested in voting.
But you do have an account at the university bookshop.
I see. Seems a lot of trouble to go to.
Well, you did hear George's version this morning. I thought you might like to have mine.
No more film. I thought.
Just my story.
It's not as if I was an expert in stories.
I thought that was your field.
No. My expertise is in the lyric poem. Very different kettle of fish.
In what way?
As chance would have it, I was just making some tea. Will you join me?
Thank you.
Stories invariably make me thirsty.
Aren't you going to explain the difference?
What? Oh, the difference is stories are very given to content and lyric poems very given to form.
Ah,
My devotion is to form. I find stories very lax and contingent.
I see. I hope you enjoyed your scampi the other evening.
Oh, I relished them.
I rather expected to be brought back here then.
I know you did. Just as well you weren't, though, don't you think?
Why's that?
Well, then I'd have been on the record with all the others.
Would that have been so terrible?
I can't say I'd have liked it. But perhaps that's the drift of your story. Perhaps it's an odyssey of sexual heroism. Milk?
Please. Now, I'm being accused of giving good marks to Miss Fee in return for sexual favors.
Yes. Sugar?
No, thanks.
I thought you were being accused of intellectual persecution. Good biscuit.
Thank you. Anyway, you remember Miss Fee?
Yeah?
Yeah, you saw her with me in my basement study when you were leaving the party.
Oh, so that was her.
Well, the point is, Carmody's deductions about my relationship with Miss Fee are entirely corrupt.
In what way?
She's a very sad person. She's had every kind of problem. Boy trouble, girl trouble, abortion, an identity crisis, a breakdown.
Menopause?
Not yet.
Well, at least there's something to look forward to.
Anyway, that night she was having a really bad time. A long-standing lesbian affair was breaking up.
She rather hogs the difficulties.
She went down to my study and started rifling through my papers. I think she probably wanted to be caught. At any rate, I caught her. She was obviously seeking attention.
So you laid her down and gave her some?
In fact, it was very much the other way round.
God, you poor thing. Were you hurt?
Actually, I wanted something altogether different. You. Now, the thing is, I want you to see the situation not as Carmody described it, but humanly.
Carmody wanted you to see him humanly.
Miss Fee needed help.
So did Carmody. And because he didn't get it, he finished up filming the help you were giving Miss Fee.
Anyway, that's the essence of my story.
I see. Do you mind if I criticize?
Do.
Well, it's full of fine feeling, but it's a lot less ironic and detached than Mr. Carmody's. Also less eventful. I mean, in his version, Miss Fee needed help with monotonous regularity. That's not to mention the help you had to nip off and give Dr. Beniform.
The point of his story is that I'm giving Miss Fee good marks for corrupt reasons. Whereas the whole point of mine is that if I were to grade Miss Fee for her performance, it certainly wouldn't be A's and B's.
Yes, I see. Well, there we are. Shows how different a story can be if you change the point d'appui.
What's that?
The angle of vision.
That man has followed me round, spied on me, filmed me through curtains, and fabricated it into a lie. What kind of angle of vision is that?
Well, as Henry James says, the house of fiction has many windows. Your trouble is, you seem to have stood in front of most of them.
Look, Miss Callender, this isn't simply a question of literary criticism. There's a great deal at stake.
I know. But I don't think you've given me the whole plot. And I don't know what you want of Carmody. Or me.
What I mean is, he could cost me my job. God, for all I know, he's probably out there right now on a ladder setting up the lighting.
No, I happen to know he got an appointment with the Vice-Chancellor.
Has he?
Might you really lose your job?
There's a thing called gross moral turpitude. It's a very vague concept, but my political enemies will pin anything they can on me.
That's why I came home. I couldn't stand it. I've been so worried about the both of you.
What are you worried about him for? He's a blackmailer and a fascist.
He's not a fascist, he's a person. He's a silly, frightened boy, and you were the one who frightened him. I've told him he's behaved wickedly and ridiculously. But he thinks you're out to destroy him. He's fighting for his life.
That's right. That's what fascism is. Naked self-interest.
Why did you tell me on Thursday you'd consider teaching him again?
And why do you think?
That's what I mean. The last thing you were thinking of was him. He's a for help, just as much as you're Miss Fee, but when you bed and when you punish...
One's a person and one's not.
Well, I've done no more than I had to. As his advisor, considerably less than you've done for your Miss Fee.
No, you were right. There was something missing from my story.
What was that?
The part that you played.
What do you mean?
Well, now, Carmody and I had our row last Tuesday. Now, he wasn't at the party, so how do you suppose he knows all about what happened between Felicity and me in my basement study on Monday night?
You think I told him?
You didn't see him standing next to you, did you, when you were looking
No,
at us?
I didn't, and I didn't tell him either.
Well, where was he on Monday night?
I don't know, but I didn't tell him anything.
And how do I know that's true?
You don't?
No! Now, I don't think you understand what I'm saying to you.
Yes, I do. You're trying to blame me.
Not at all. All I'm saying is you have to make a choice. Whose side you're on.
I just want to be fair.
There is no such thing as fair. You try and be fair, and you'll end up like him, feeling nothing but terror at being threatened by people who are actually getting on with some living. I mean... Just look at this room.
What's wrong with it? It's very convenient.
It's a hiding place. Somewhere you can escape from life, sexuality, love. Somewhere you'll dry up and wither and hate and grudge. 10 years here and you'll be nothing. An erotic little old lady.
I don't want this. I can't bear this.
Now can I put the light on?
No, don't. You mustn't.
So you have done this before?
Hardly ever. I shouldn't have let you. It's wrong.
Of course it isn't wrong. Promise me you won't do anything more for him.
Is that why you've done this?
No. It was bound to happen.
Historical inevitability?
Yeah.
But Marx said history was bunk.
No, he didn't. That was Henry Ford.
No. Marx.
Oh, yeah. Where?
A late insight.
It's my field. Blake for you, Marx for me.
Was it awful?
No, but it's like golf. You need plenty of practice. Can't be arranged.
But won't George be on duty again?
Oh, I think we can deal with him.
I don't know if I can help you, Howard.
It's a token concession, that's all, letting us have our meeting in the Durkheim room. Well, it's not even as if we were asking for access to our offices. It'll just smooth the ground, give them a nudge towards accepting what we've been discussing.
There's not much point in having a sit-in if we're going to let people through.
Right. All right, then, how about this? Suppose we undertake not to cross your picket line.
Well...
Well, I think we all owe a debt of gratitude to Howard here for hitting on this ingenious solution to our difficulties.
There are those who might say he was the cause of those difficulties in the first place.
Yes, I take the point. But I think he can scarcely have anticipated that matters would escalate to this degree.
Perhaps next time Dr. Beniform would care to undertake the hours of delicate negotiation needed to secure this kind of concession.
Well, I shouldn't think for a moment that we constitute a quorum, but at least we can get through essential business. So, you think there is at least a possibility of compromise?
Oh, very much so. And basically, the students have two demands. One, the expulsion of Carmody. Two, the withdrawal of Mangle's invitation. Now, to put it very crudely, I believe that if we concede on one of these issues, they'd be prepared to give way on t'other.
Oh, you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in that case, the circumstances surrounding Professor Mangle's invitation were, if you remember, enigmatic, to say the least. I feel sure I could find a way to avert his visit without causing offense. You don't agree, Howard?
Well, it's just that Carmody's a much more immediate problem.
Yeah. Yes, I know, but I'm not happy about taking a step which could ruin a young man's life.
I see that, of course. But he is going to go on causing difficulties as long as he's here. And in the end, we may find ourselves having to fail him in spite of everything. Whereas, you see, Mangle, oh, he'd be in and out in an hour.
Yes, I take your point.
Also, I believe that we could get a guarantee from the students that there'd be no violence during Mangle's visit.
Oh, do you think so?
Oh, yes. Well, there'd be no question, of course, of depriving them of their democratic right to peaceful protest, but beyond that...
Yes. Well, this leads us into another matter that I wanted to raise. Normally, of course, I would have met Professor Mangle at the station and introduced his lecture myself, but alas, on the 8th of November, I find myself afflicted by an alternative engagement in Edinburgh. Dr. Beniform, I believe you're a friend of his.
I understand there's been a significant outbreak of Troilism in West Bromwich. I've arranged to go up there to investigate.
Ah, I see. Well...
Might I nominate Dr. Beamish?
Well, now, that's a thought.
Where is Henry today?
Oh, he sent his apologies. Apparently he was gardening over the weekend, though how much gardening you can manage with only one arm, I'm not sure, when he was bitten by a snake.
I see.
I gather it's not serious. He's just got to spend a couple of days in bed.
So, Henry's gone back tomorrow.
Yes.
Didn't work out, eh?
No.
Why was that?
I don't think that's any of your business.
Oh.
I'll tell you one thing, though. Close association with him has caused me to revise my theory of accidents.
I haven't got your diary with you by any chance, have you?
It's full, Howard. I can't...
I thought you said
I
that.
expect you will. Your stop?
me great pleasure to welcome I'm extremely pleased to be able to it gives me the greatest possible pleasure. Hello?
Don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up the pearly gates.
The atmosphere here, it's really beautiful. It's like Berkeley or Vincent. It's going to be fantastic.
Howard hasn't had such a good time since Grosvenor Square.
It's times like these that freedom and liberation seem, like really real.
Give me a why! Why? You! You're gay! Gay! What's that smell? Yeah! What's that smell? Yeah! Excuse me. I'm afraid I must ask you all to disperse.
This lecture is forbidden by radical opinion.
Professor Mann. Very kind, Howard.
Not at all.
I'm not very well placed for peeling them, but I'm sure something could be contrived.
Oh, yes.
The bananas are especially thoughtful.
I hope you don't blame me for this, Henry.
You want everything, don't you?
What I don't understand is why you were so provocative. Why didn't you just tell them Mango was dead?
Suppose they cheered or laughed. I couldn't have stood that.
Oh, it's very unfortunate, Henry, but that was not the moment to abandon your well-known talent for seeing the other person's point of view.
It's not your point of view I dislike, Howard. It's you.
I see.
It's never, you see, the causes one objects to. Generally speaking, the causes are admirable. It's those who rise on the backs of those causes.
Well, it's only natural you're upset. I'll leave you now and pop back in a day or two.
No, don't.
Don't leave you?
No, don't come back.
Oh, that party tomorrow's going to do you good. You need cheering up.
Christ, Howard. What the hell do you know about my cheerfulness or my misery?
Oh, no, there's nothing really wrong with you. You're fine.
I'm appallingly miserable.
Why? Well, tell me.
I'd rather not.
You need a break. There's just been too much happening.
To you, not to me. Name one thing good that's happened to me this year.
You wait. You'll enjoy yourself.
I'd have thought this term you'd had all the people you could eat.
Well, term's over tomorrow, so I can look after the kids and you spend a few days in London. How about that?
There's nothing there, Howard. There's nothing at all there.
You're up early.
I've been up most of the night, packing.
Are the children up yet?
Haven't a clue.
I hope you're still going to be able to give us a hand today. There's an awful lot needs doing to get ready for this party.
You manage. I'm sure you'll find someone.
Have we upset you in any way, Felicity?
No. Just I'm into something else now. I'm joining a Hare Krishna establishment.
I wouldn't have thought that was quite you, Felicity.
I don't think there's a lot known around here about what's me. I mean, I've done a lot for both of you, haven't I? Howard?
Oh, yeah, great deal.
We sort of hope to get something. Well, we've got to keep on moving. That is your opinion, isn't it, Dr. Kirk?
Oh, I see. You've already discussed it, have you?
I mean, I don't say there's anything necessarily very smart about his advice.
You're angry with us. I'm sorry.
It's all right. You're just not my scene anymore.
Well, come to the party anyway.
Do you like it?
Nice. Where'd you get it?
London.
Oh, yeah. Hey. You never tried it on for me.
I offered. You never had time.
I like it.
Yes. He had very good taste.
Say we're the first again. It's great to see you.
Can we park the twins somewhere?
Yeah, in there.
Hi. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Never mind.
Hail the radical hero!
Let me say your toast.
Now, where do I go to get laid?
I still think the pill's the best, all things considered. I mean, the terrible thing is, I thought I knew where I was going. Now I've got there, it's not where I'm at all.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
How are you? Do you mind? There's someone in here.
It's Howard. We don't want you, Howard. Go away.
So long. Here you are.
Yep.
Where's Barbara?
I can't find her. So I'm doing this.
Oh,
It's Henry here.
he's not coming.
Oh, why not?
He hasn't forgiven you your triumph, particularly as it coincided with his humiliation. He's furious that you managed to become the undergraduate's favorite hero, whilst at the same time actually enhancing your reputation within the faculty. I can't say I blame you.
And why did you come?
Merry Christmas.
And a Merry Christmas to you, too.
I don't know if you remember that time in my bedroom.
It was a long time ago, Myra.
I know you've toured the parish since then, but I do hope that you'll come again sometime.
And what about Henry?
I could say, what about Barbara?
Barbara and I have learned to accept each other's lifestyles.
You mean Barbara's had no choice but to accept yours?
I am concerned about Henry.
Henry had Flora Bunnythorne.
She's essentially therapy.
No, she's essentially the classic bitch in modern dress. Now I need some therapy.
I don't want to be unfair to Henry.
Why not? You think he's a joke? You despise his morals, you've bypassed him, you've broken his arm, you've smashed his nose, you want to be fair to him?
How's the party?
There are things going on out there that make your nipples pucker. Hi, my friend.
Excuse me.
Did I do something?
Well, you did throw a bread roll at Henry.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it was his fault. I always say, if you can't stand the heat,
Get out of the
kitchen. Maybe that's why she got out of the kitchen.
Maybe.
Oh, Jesus. That was a great day. Blew my mind. Yeah, things were really wide open. Will we ever be like that again?
It was only a few weeks ago.
A week's a long time in politics. Young people now, they just don't feel anymore. Seriously. Who, anywhere, now, is getting down to the real root radical problems of the age? Now, I'll tell you whom. Nobody. That's whom. Who's authentic anymore?
You seem pretty authentic.
Oh, God, no. Christ. Really? Yeah. You're giving me that shit. I don't care what your friends say about you, Howard. You're a good guy. You're a radical's radical.
See you next term, then.
I don't think so. I've asked Professor Marvin to find me a new teacher.
What? I don't think he'll agree to that. Not after all that trouble with George Carmody.
I really don't think you'd better stand in my way. I mean, I know as much as anyone does about what happened with George. You hoping to get rid of me as well?
Of course not.
You'd better not try. Because I know everything.
What's that supposed to mean?
I wanted to help you.
You did?
Yeah, well, it didn't do me much good. So you leave me alone now, all right?
All right.
Just visiting the scene of your many triumphs.
There's no one to look in on us anymore, eh?
At least I'm not plowing through your manuscript.
It's not the printers.
You went upstairs with her when I was breakfast.
She was crying. She was very upset.
Right. This is the last party you're coming to.
I never knew if you believed me. It really wasn't me who told George.
Told him what?
That you were down here that night playing Little Miss Fee.
Of course I believed you.
Why?
Because I know who did tell him.
Who?
Who do you think? Who else knew?
Little Miss Fee.
That's right.
Why?
She wanted to defend me against the attacks of the liberal reactionary forces. And she figured she wouldn't be able to unless they had something to attack me with.
Sounds a bit crazy.
She is a bit crazy.
So when did you find that out?
I don't know.
Was it before you came to see me that afternoon?
I can't remember.
Of course you can remember. It was.
Maybe.
In fact, you probably told her to tell George.
Possibly.
Why?
I had to find a way to get to you.
No. You did it with the sheer pleasure of the plot.
It's the plot of history. There's a process. It charges everyone a price for the stands they choose to take.
You seem to travel free.
Some travel free, some pay fancy prices.
Next tonight, how Margaret Thatcher came to power and the struggles of her first term. Tory, 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 in just a moment.